In the final year of World War II, the very idea of what war is completely changed. In just about 12 months, we went from the biggest conventional invasion in all of human history to single weapons that could wipe entire cities off the map. So let's dive into the year that basically redrew the rules for modern warfare forever. So imagine it's the night before D-Day, June 6th, 1944. This is the message that goes out to the troops from the Supreme Allied Commander, Dwight D. Eisenhower. And that phrase he used, the Great Crusade, man, it just captures everything, doesn't it? It's not just about the incredible scale of what's about to happen, but this deep moral certainty behind it. This was war fought with men, with machines, with entire nations pointed at one single massive goal. And the D-Day landings, Operation Overlord, this was so much more than just a battle. It was really the ultimate expression of industrial age warfare. This was it, the absolute peak of what conventional armies, navies, and air forces could possibly achieve, all working together. Just to try and wrap your head around the scale here, look at this number, almost 7,000 vessels. A German officer looking out at the coast that morning described it as a gigantic town on the sea. Can you imagine? A force so massive it didn't even look like a fleet, it looked like a city floating towards you. The entire operation, pretty much the fate of the war, all came down to this one day. It all kicks off at midnight with over 1,000 planes dropping paratroopers deep into Normandy. By sunrise, the first American troops are storming the beaches, and they are getting hit with just a hailstorm of machine gun fire, especially on Omaha Beach. And somehow, despite these horrific losses, by the afternoon they manage to claw their way up and start pushing inland. It's just incredible. And this quote, this just gets you, right? This perfectly captures the absolutely crushing weight of responsibility on one man's shoulders. Even Eisenhower, the guy in charge of it all, was just overwhelmed by the sheer risk. He knew this was a total all-or-nothing gamble. In fact, he had a note pre-written in his pocket, taking full blame in case the whole thing failed. The stakes just don't get any higher than that. So, how on earth did they pull it off? Well, it was a combination of absolutely incredible factors. You had 2 straight years of meticulous planning. You had total air dominance. Get this. For every 1 German plane in the sky over Normandy that day, the Allies had over 40. You had the unbelievable industrial might of the US, the arsenal of democracy. And then there was this genius deception plan that tricked the Germans into thinking the main attack was happening somewhere else entirely. So D-Day was all about overwhelming force, right? Millions of people, thousands of machines. But even as this great crusade was unfolding, a totally new and, frankly, terrifying idea of war was taking shape. One that didn't need fleets or armies, or really even soldiers. And that brings us to the V-2 rocket. Now, this wasn't just a bigger bomb. This thing, developed by Nazi Germany, was the world's first ever long-range ballistic missile. And its main purpose, it wasn't just military, it was psychological. It was quite literally a strategy for terror. And that's the key thing to understand about the V-2. It was designed from the ground up to be a terror weapon. The whole idea was to deliver a psychological shock that was way bigger than any physical damage it could actually do. It was about creating fear and panic in a way no weapon had ever done before. Just look at these specs for a second. It traveled at 3,500 miles per hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. You couldn't hear it coming. The explosion was the first thing you knew about it. It could carry a 1-ton warhead over 180 miles. And here's the most terrifying part. There was no defense. None. You couldn't shoot it down like a bomber. It was a completely new kind of threat. And that's what made it so revolutionary. The V-2 could hit a city like London from all the way across the English Channel. It completely bypassed armies, navies, air forces, everything. It didn't fight soldiers on a battlefield. It targeted civilians in their homes, silently, and from a huge distance. The rules of war were literally being rewritten in real time. But, the V-2, that was just a preview of what was coming. The final and most profound leap came out of the Manhattan Project. It was a device with the power not just to terrorize a city, but to actually annihilate it. It took the whole psychological strategy of the V-2 and just magnified it to an absolutely apocalyptic scale. This right here, this comparison really puts the whole shift into perspective. On D-Day, you needed 156,000 men just to get a foothold in France. A little over a year later, a single bomb from a single plane could unleash a level of destruction that entire armies couldn't even dream of. The change was It was staggering and honestly horrifying. And this brings us to one of the most debated questions in all of modern history. Yeah, the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki helped end World War II. But did they also plant the seeds for the next 50 years of global conflict? Were they actually the opening shots of the Cold War? See, the use of the atomic bomb didn't happen in a vacuum. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were already starting to boil over. And now, the bomb was about to become the central, terrifying feature of this brand new global rivalry. Okay, so it's really important to get this distinction right. The atomic bomb did not cause the Cold War. The deep, fundamental disagreements between the US and the Soviets, those were already there. But the bomb absolutely shaped it. It dictated the rules of the game, creating a world where the issue of nuclear control became the single most important question for our survival. So, we'll leave you with this. In that one transformative year, from the beaches of Normandy to the skies over Japan, we saw technology make a leap that was light years ahead of our ability to debate its consequences. And it forces us to ask a question that is just as urgent today as it was then. When our technology, our power to destroy, outpaces our own morality, what does it even mean to win?